Aliens in movies are never just aliens. Decent sci-fi writers will pretty much always use extraterrestrials as an allegory or a metaphor for something else. This goes a long way to ground the film in reality in spite of its highly unlikely concept. It helps make an outlandish situation feel more relatable and easy to grasp. So today I'm going to be diving into two movies that are technically about aliens, but they're not really about aliens, in order to try and demonstrate my point.
Nobody comes back late at night anymore. They have more security.
The government noticed that they were moving into new areas. That's when things started to get out of hand.
Plot summary. In the 1980s, an alien spacecraft comes to a halt above Johannesburg in South Africa. Humans investigate the ship to find a large quantity of aliens, nicknamed Prawns, who are all malnourished and in a general state of disrepair. The South African government decides to house and aid all these prawns, seeing as they are clearly in need of support. Over time, the area where the prawns live becomes increasingly ghettoised and it essentially devolves into a shantytown style slum. The South African public become increasingly discontent with the prawns, which eventually spurs the government into attempting to relocate 1.8 million of these aliens into what equates to a concentration camp.
They don't belong here.
They're spending so much money to keep them here when they could be spending it on other things. At least they're keeping them separate from us.
What do the prawns represent? The aliens in this film are strikingly human in their behaviour. Christopher Johnson, the main prawn, demonstrates a lot of recognisably human character traits. He loves his son and wants to protect him. He has goals and aspirations for wanting to save his people. He learns to trust a particular human, which shows a lot of character growth for him. And he's intelligent beyond the scope of any humans in the film. But we also see some negative human behaviours reflected in the prawns. Some of them engage in gambling, some suffer from addiction, others are engaged in gangland activities such as dealing arms.
They must just go. I don't know where they go. And they must just go.
We're at the breaking point. People are living in fear.
My initial takeaway from this film was that the aliens represented refugees. The prawns arrived on this planet with nothing to their name and no way of returning home. They are stranded on Earth for reasons that the film never really explores, but it doesn't need to explain it. What matters most is the way that the humans react to the prawns. They view them as criminals and savages. They almost literally refer to them as bottom feeders. The humans don't trust the prawns and they hold open hostility towards them. But it's funny because in the reverse of that, the prawns are essentially living their own separate lives that have very little interactions with humans. The fact that they are compacted into this slum essentially means that they have little day-to-day interactions with any civilian people. Yet, the people of South Africa openly hate the prawns anyway. The aliens aren't depicted as being any worse or any better than the humans. They seem to reflect a lot of what humanity is. You have intelligent, motivated, hard-working prawns like Christopher Johnson, and then you have others that are more on the side of ne'er-do-wells. But it never seems like the prawns are disproportionately evil when compared to the humans. In fact, the humans are framed as the villains of this film. Wikus. Wikus is a government employee who is tasked with getting the prawns to sign eviction notices in advance of the plans to move them to another location. He initially comes across like a Michael Scott type character who is ultimately well-meaning but also totally bumbling. While going around District 9 doing his duties, we see him express more and more bigoted sentiment towards the prawns, which shows that this hatred of the aliens is deep-seated in government institutions despite how well hidden it might be behind smiling faces. Wikus has an accident when he comes into contact with a piece of alien technology and it essentially begins to slowly transform him into a human prawn hybrid. And that leads me into another interpretation I have of this film. Classism. I personally believe that this film makes a lot of commentary about classism and social mobility. The prawns represent the socio-economically disadvantaged and the humans represent the oppressors, essentially the haves and the have-nots. Wikus is the puzzle piece that fits this theory best in my mind. He has one accident in work and then immediately begins to transform into a prawn. This shows that how in a lot of cases the only thing that keeps people above the poverty line is one singular paycheck. You are one accident away from not being able to work and then becoming the poor class of people that you vehemently despise. It's interesting as well because Wikus can easily slide down the class system into becoming a prawn, but no prawns ever turn into humans. This represents how it's much easier to descend in the class system than it is to climb up in it.
Why are you here? Why don't you just leave?
Now, I only have a very cursory knowledge of South African history, so I'm 100% certain that there is layers of this film that I'm not fully comprehending. For example, this film takes inspiration from a real-life mass eviction of over 60,000 people of colour in Cape Town. The film's title even takes inspiration from this event, with the real-life equivalent area being called District 6. I'm bringing this up just to encourage you to do your own research and don't accept my analysis as gospel. These are just my interpretations of the film. I'm fully aware that my conclusions might be flawed, incomplete, or incorrect.
There are days that define your story beyond your life. Like the day they arrived.
Plot summary. 12 alien ships come to a halt at various locations around the world. Louise, a linguistics expert, is tasked with trying to decipher the alien language and communicate with them in order to try and find out why they are here and what they want. The film is largely focused on communication and the impact words can have on the world. It also centers itself around the cyclical nature of time and the illusion of free will.
Who's being carted off in the medevac?
Not everyone is wired for what you're about to do.
Fear of the unknown. This is a massive theme in this film. People are all worked up into an absolute frenzy about the aliens, but it has nothing to do with their actual behaviour. All the anxiety and dread that overcomes the humans stems from the fact that we do not know the aliens' purpose on Earth. It's the classic mistrust of the other. It speaks to our innate desire to both understand and control things around us. The aliens, as a narrative device in this movie, essentially exist to trigger and demonstrate all the paranoia and bad faith that lives within humanity and how easy it is to destabilise the zeitgeist.
Every 18 hours, a door opens up. That's where we go in.
Okay, here's the part of the review where I'm going to get into full spoilers for Arrival. I would recommend not watching the rest of this video if you haven't seen Arrival. I think you should go watch it and discover it for yourself before you watch any more of this video. So what it boils down to is that the aliens want to teach their language to the humans because it helps rewire your brain into not viewing time linearly, but instead you're capable of seeing the past, present and future all simultaneously. The aliens, or heptapods, are so far advanced beyond humans that they become godlike. To me, this has undertones of Prometheus giving the gift of fire to man. The heptapods pass down the knowledge in order to help progress the evolution of this less advanced species, which is us. The torment of Louise being plagued by visions of a future tragedy echo Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill. She knows that the outcome of her actions are fruitless and predetermined, but she goes ahead and engages with it anyway because she has no choice.
What happens now?
They arrive.
Colonialism. There's multiple references in this film to colonialism. Some of the humans expect the heptapods to colonize the Earth, which is interesting because there is almost this civilized the savages air to what the heptapods are doing on the planet. But they're doing it in a very humanitarian way. They don't force their language on the humans, they let them figure it out of their own volition. It's like this is the best possible scenario for an advanced race interacting with a more primitive species. It for once puts the humans in the place of the less intelligent creatures. It comments on the nature of humanity and our dark history. Typically when a more advanced group of people would encounter a primitive group of people, they would kill all the primitives and steal their land. But here, the aliens purely want to enlighten and educate the humans, not wipe us out. And once again, it makes the humans the villains. So aliens as a narrative device can essentially be whatever the writers want. They can be used as an allegory for real life historical events. They can be used to reflect aspects of human nature. They can be used as a metaphor for divine intervention. And I think that's why I find Aliens such an interesting concept to put in a movie. District 9 is an action movie. Arrival is a drama. Yes, they're both technically sci-fi, but they're tonally completely different from one another. And that's because of the way they use the aliens to advance the themes of the plot. The way that they decided to use them has essentially defined the two films into different genres of action and drama. So that's it, yeah. I thought I'd start this series. It's called Double Feature, where I essentially review two movies that have a similar theme or similar points to them. I have some ideas for like part 2 and 3. I was thinking of doing Scarface, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas in one episode, because those movies are like fiercely anti-drug. I had the idea of doing Kickboxer and Enter the Dragon. They're two like fighting movies about kung fu and martial arts. I was also thinking of maybe doing Scott Pilgrim and The Losers. Those are two not really comic book movies, but they are comic book movies. So yeah, if you want to see me continue this series, make sure you fucking like and subscribe and ring the bell and post a comment and click on my link tree and follow me on TikTok and listen to my raps. Right, thanks for watching. Peace out.